The world is ending in chapter 145 of the One Punch Man webcomic. We get Genos finally confronting Dr. Bufoy and an army of 4 million battle robots attacking the Hero Association headquarters. Things are not looking good anywhere you look, and there's so much going on in this chapter, so let's just get right into it. So as you guys know, in the previous few chapters, there's been this mysterious and insanely powerful army of battle robots attacking all cities all at once, indiscriminately causing as much destruction as possible. Well, we finally get some details on how all of these robots managed to do this surprise attack on the entirety of all the cities and also the Hero Association HQ, and that'll come in a second. But first, we open up the chapter getting side-by-side reactions to the whole mess from the Hero Association and also the Neo Heroes, and you can just tell by the dialogue bubbles here that the Hero Association is completely inept and inequipped to deal with this major problem, and the Neo Heroes are addressing it in a much more analytical and controlled manner. We cut to inside of the Neo Heroes HQ, where McCoy is at a loss for words as to what's going on. He seems very panicked and he wonders how the Hero Association is handling all of this. Well, the other Neo Heroes executives pretty much tell him that they're going to be fodder for the robots and they're going to serve no purpose in actually fixing the problem. Well, to me this is kind of an interesting development for McCoy because he brings up the idea of potentially letting them get some weapons for free, the heroes of the Hero Association that is, so they have a better shot of actually winning and also minimizing the casualties. Like, it seems like he has a genuine concern for the safety of the Hero Association, when before it seemed like he was kind of like a shady and a bad guy. It's really interesting to see this side of McCoy and definitely makes him more likable to the reader. Well, the other Neo Heroes executives respond very coldly to this and pretty much say if they don't join our side, we're not going to do anything for them, and to quit letting his nostalgic feelings for the Hero Association alter his decision making. And along with the fact that they're not deploying heroes like Metal Bat and Child Emperor because they're not really seeing eye to eye with the Neo Heroes, is making it pretty clear that it doesn't matter to them how much destruction is being caused and how much can be prevented by actually deploying these heroes. It honestly just seems like a planned thing. Like, we're going to see later on in this chapter, this just seems very, very convenient for them to handle this entire situation. Well, then we start to learn exactly how these battle robots were deployed in order to pretty much blitzkrieg all of the cities at once. The chapter reads, on that day, the first confirmed attack is on X City. This is at 5:41 a.m. From a large stealth drone in the stratosphere, they appeared. Hostile robots numbered more than 1,500. After landing, they immediately destroyed the Strong Ogre building, which houses a mercenary dispatching company that conducts hero-like activities in 11 seconds. They also annihilate the registered mercenaries in battle. After 6 minutes, they switch to destroying the city. Heroes from the Hero Association run in but are wiped out. Neo Heroes issues an order to deploy to X City for battle. 5 minutes later, the battle started. At 6:02 a.m., more robots appear in M City. They number at least 3,300. And this is the part that's actually very interesting. A high security building in which S-Class hero King was rumored to have bought a house is surrounded and attacked, but the man himself is nowhere to be found. The large robot army spreads out to all over and begins destroying the city. So weirdly enough, they're specifically targeting King here. And on top of that, other pseudo-hero agencies that conduct the same kind of work as the Hero Association and the Neo Heroes. It seems like a very, very targeted attack. Well, Child Emperor starts hacking into a system that allows him to identify where these robots came from and also who created them. He finally uncovers this information and it leaves him speechless. Many people are speculating right now that these are Dr. Bufoy's robots, and that's definitely where this is leaning, because I feel like Child Emperor wouldn't have such a crazy reaction to this if it wasn't somebody that he knew or somebody that he thought he trusted. And I mean, who else is capable of deploying this many robots? It would be Metal Knight, right? He says that he needs to make some preparations before he heads into battle with the other Neo Hero groups, and it seems like he's really pissed and determined, so very curious to see where this goes, because where this chapter ends makes it pretty likely that Dr. Bufoy is going to come into the scene very, very soon. We then cut to Suiryu and his group of Neo Heroes that are dealing with the battle robots on the ground. It's been reiterated many times that the Hero Association heroes stand absolutely no match against these robots, and we saw that just like last chapter with how Lightning Max straight up had his legs blown off and didn't do a single thing to even one of the robots. And he's an A-class hero, just imagine C and B-class heroes. So Suiryu understands that Suiko is in the Hero Association and she'll stand no chance against these robots, so he wants to make sure that she doesn't get involved at all and the Hero Association doesn't get involved at all, period. Well, it seems like that's likely not going to be the case for him, because we then cut to Suiko, who ends up meeting in this room with a bunch of very nervous looking heroes, and they're apparently gathering for some kind of mission, but many of the heroes there are actually absent and they have a very small group compared to what they thought they would have. Well, Suiko walks up and she's like, oh, well, what's the mission? And the guys are flabbergasted. They're like, are you still half asleep? There was a roaring sound outside, and they simply tell her the mission is, we're protecting this location. We're completely surrounded. There's around 4 million of them and counting. Like straight up this massive army of robots attacking the Hero Association headquarters, and they seemingly have their own defense robots backing them off until the heroes arrive. It's complete insanity, but the weird thing is that a lot of the robots that are defending the Hero Association HQ actually look really similar to the machine gods that we saw Genos fight once Dr. Kuseno's lab was destroyed. Now, in my personal opinion, I think that these battle robots are going to be revealed to be coming from Dr. Bufoy's lab, but I also think he's being set up here to look like the bad guy when it's really some other outside force that caused them to make all this destruction. But it's really weird seeing that these battle robots that are defending the HQ look like the machine gods. I'm not really sure where this is going to connect. Maybe since one kind of is limited in his design of characters, he just chose to go with a similar design as he did with the machine gods. Not really sure, but moving on. The people inside are freaking out, and one even says that this might be the end for humanity. But Forte is amongst them, and he also looks a little nervous, but he says that he still has to go feed the dog. And of course he's referring to Overgrown Rover and Black S. And it seems that since Black S has taken on this pet role, like this kind of behind the scenes role, it seems like one's been choosing him to speak through to kind of give a 10,000 foot view of everything that's going on and breaking things down for the readers as, you know, all this craziness is happening. He essentially explains that this is a really good plan on whoever side is actually causing all of this destruction. He calls it something because of course he doesn't know either exactly where all these robots are coming from. He pretty much points out that an all-out attack against anybody indiscriminately was a solid move on their end, but he's a little puzzled that the Hero Association HQ is getting hammered so hard and nothing is happening at the Neo Heroes HQ when you would think they'd want to take out the stronger opponent first, since the Neo Heroes have so much more potential and are way more organized. He also points out that Saitama's absence means that their luck has ran out. And yeah, he's right. I mean, Saitama always comes to the rescue at the right time, but there's so many robots all over the place. I find it really hard to believe that he's going to be able to save everybody, and we're more than likely going to see some actual casualties and real series altering damage being done here. Like, to me, this is the most serious that One Punch Man has ever gotten, including the Monster Association arc, just because of the destruction being so widespread. And like how Suiryu says earlier in this chapter, this is more than likely just the first wave. Well, Forte understands exactly how dire the situation is and pretty much says like, look, I told Saitama that Blue wants to bridge the gap with you between the Neo Heroes and the Hero Association. Surely they can bring a new era of heroes. And he realizes that all he can do is leave his faith in Saitama and trust that he'll join forces with Blue or do something to save everybody. Well, speaking of Blue, we then cut to him, who's on the scene as well, and he looks exhausted fighting all of these robots. And like doing all this work and seeing that there are still so many robots and destruction still being caused currently kind of makes him have this existential crisis, making it pretty clear that he hasn't faced adversity like this in his entire life, and he's still a pretty inexperienced hero. He points out that no matter what he does, everywhere he looks, everything is engulfed in war, and that the thought that the world can be saved by the mere existence of heroes is just a convenient illusion. In order for people to regain their livelihoods and to restore the city, the collaboration of many people will be required. And interestingly, he points out that even at a time like this, my dad isn't coming out, seeming very resentful of Blast for not showing up. And he brings up a good point, like, where the fuck is the guy? Everything's getting destroyed, all the cities are getting completely obliterated. If there was a time for him to show up, it would be now. But regardless, though, we finally cut to Genos, who arrives at one of the 3 labs that Dr. Bufoy has. It seems that Drive Knight isn't there with him, but he's talking to him through this like walkie-talkie type system, and he says once it starts, it'll be difficult to resolve the situation until a conclusion has been reached. And at that moment, it seems like Dr. Bufoy's defense robots start to activate, and Drive Knight reiterates, Metal Knight is your enemy. So it seems like things are really heating up everywhere you look, and most importantly, narratively, it looks like we're finally going to get the confrontation between Genos and Dr. Bufoy. Now, the community is a little split as to whether or not Drive Knight's actually misleading Genos here and using him as a pawn or something. It's still very unclear what Drive Knight's actual intentions are, but I'm hoping in the next chapter or 2 we actually find out. Let me know what you guys thought about this crazy chapter in the comments though. Have an absolutely wonderful day or night, whatever, and I'll see you guys in the next video.